Good morning, everyone. I hope your day is going well. Today, I'm going to be continuing on going through the Dr. Atkins Diet Revolution book. We are on chapter 4. It is called I Promise You That You Will Never Feel a Hunger Pang. So, that's an interesting title. So, I guess as long as you eat, you won't be hungry, right? Anyway, well, just the little disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional, so please ask advice from your doctor before doing anything that I recommend. But let's go with this chapter. I don't have any willpower. Is it really true that one can lose weight on this diet without hunger and without pills either? I hear this question very often. My answer is absolutely. There's no question about it. Hunger is what takes place when people try to cut down the quantitative intake of food in order to lose weight. But quantity cutting is not the only way to lose weight. The other way, the more natural way, is merely by eliminating the carbohydrates. Then it is not necessary to worry about how much you eat. When you can eat as much as you want at any hour of the day or night, how can you ever get hungry? When in doubt, eat. How can you eat as much as you want and still lose weight? I hear this question too, from new patients. I explain to them, if you understood more about the psychology of overweight, you'd know why. You see, virtually all overweight people have one very important disturbance in their metabolism. They produce too much insulin. And it is insulin that lowers the blood sugar and makes people hungry. Selectively eliminate those foods that trigger the release of insulin, and the excessive hunger of the overweight person goes away. That is why I say, eat whatever it takes to satisfy your hunger, except insulin-stimulating foods. And if you're not certain whether or not you're hungry, eat anyway. I like that idea. What people fail to realize is that while proteins and fats have, I hate this word, satiate value, carbohydrates actually provoke hunger by stimulating the insulin release that sends the blood sugar plummeting down. Even a large eater who avoids carbohydrates will find himself eating less without any effort to do so, merely because he won't have his old appetite anymore on my diet. That's how dramatically satisfying this way of eating is. Well, look at the case of Ruth S. Ruth was so desperate to lose weight that she had put herself in a hospital. Ruth was 27 when she came to see me 2 years ago, a tall, good-looking brunette who weighed 283 pounds. She had a good job, good friends, a good psychiatrist, but a sad history as to overweight. Even in college, she weighed 182 pounds. For 6 years, she lost and gained with pills. When she weighed 266, she went to Weight Watchers, lost 30 pounds slowly, and quickly regained it. Then she grew desperate. She put herself in a hospital. In 6 months, she dropped from 263 to 196. 6 months later, she weighed 263 pounds again. She was almost without hope when she came to ask me whether there was any point in starting another diet program. When I saw her, she was the heaviest she had ever been. There was no history of diabetes. She was just plain fat. She had a 300-pound sister, a 230-pound mother, and a bottomless capacity for potato chips and Cokes. I was disgusted and low, so utterly demoralized when I came to see you, she says. I had hope, however. Ruth was a clearly Ruth was clearly a trier. Cutting yourself off from food and friends in a hospital at 25 takes guts. I have to agree with that. I could never do that. Hold on, just gotta check this. Who would believe she was dieting? Eating this new way was hard at the beginning, she says. Just the change. But you build up flexibility as you go along with it. I could change because I was always perfectly satisfied. I was never hungry. I never counted calories. I felt guilty, though. There I would be in a restaurant weighing 280 pounds, which is no small bud, and I would order scampi for an appetizer, then a salad and maybe frog's legs and garlic butter, and I would have cream in my coffee. People watching me were bound to think, why doesn't she go on a diet? And I was on a diet. I don't feel that it's a diet, though. It's just a different way of eating that I love. I always used to be exhausted and depressed. The weight would trigger off one depression after another. Now I have so much more energy. I still have more to lose, but I feel so much confidence in myself. The pressures are off. I enjoy walking along the street and seeing the men turn around and look at me. It's a great feeling. She lost 120 pounds without once feeling deprived. The 120 pounds she lost didn't come off quickly, but the point is that by now she knows the score. I can never again eat the way most people do, she says, but I enjoy the way I eat. I've never uh, I've never deviated. I just couldn't. As a matter of fact, I eat better than most people do. I believe in that. Never have a plain hamburger. Have a cheeseburger. Have chicken breasts with mozzarella, béarnaise on your filet, and I love Swiss cheese and lox. How can I feel deprived? As strong as diet pills, without their bad side effects. This absence of hunger is a major advantage of the carbohydrate free diet. Patients report that the action of the diet is as strong as the diet pills in suppressing appetite. Yet there aren't any of the pills' sleep destroying, nervousness making, addicting side effects. However, there is a uniform and dramatic decrease in appetite. This is reported by at least 90% of all patients who go on the carbohydrate free diet. They comment voluntarily that they can't understand what happened to their appetites. I can't even finish what's on my plate these days, and it used to be that I always had seconds. I don't believe that most overeating is psychological. It's my opinion that overeating is not as psychological in origin as it's cracked up to be. I don't believe that many people want to eat huge quantities of food because they need the psychological balm that food provides. They overeat merely because their own metabolic abnormality makes them feel that decree of hunger. When the metabolic pathways are rerouted through this special diet, this excessive appetite goes away. Then many of these same people have quite a small appetite, I have found. Cravings for sweets are often a symptom. Have you ever had dinner with a big dessert and almost immediately afterward had a terrific craving for candy? Such untimely hunger cravings are, like fatigue, one of the symptoms of deranged carbohydrate metabolism. On the diet in this book, these cravings disappear. And this freedom from bizarre hunger is another one of the built-in punishment and reward features of the diet that makes it easy to live with. It's so good to enjoy food, but never to suffer a hunger pang while sloughing off the pounds. And as long as one stays completely with the diet, That's how life is. On the other hand, if you cheat, if you start loading in the carbohydrates, suddenly you're starved. You hate yourself, but you can't stop eating. The pounds and bumps and bulges pile back. Up goes your weight, down goes your energy. That is absolute truth. I know at times when I have been falling off track, which the past week has not been good, that I do feel myself getting more hungry again. And I really start craving the sweets. I just want candy or something. So then I have to find a substitute. I try to go to like cheese and beef sticks, or well, shoot, yesterday I just put a hamburger on on the stove and cooked it up. So, whenever I'm hungry, that's what I do. What about compulsive eaters? On a first visit, patients frequently tell me, I can't stop eating. Whenever I'm upset, I go to the refrigerator and eat. How can you possibly help me if that's the kind of person I am? I say, great. That's exactly what I want you to keep on doing. Every time you're upset, I want you to go straight to the refrigerator and eat some protein food. I don't want to take away the role that food plays as a solver of injured feelings or a lifter of depression. I merely want you to make sure that the food is not carbohydrates. But I think going to the refrigerator and eating a piece of cold fried chicken from yesterday, or having some of your favorite cheese, or one of the safe desserts we tell you how to make later in this book, that's exactly what you should do when you're upset. Avoid being any kind of hungry. People who eat when they're upset don't worry me, because on a protein fat diet, there's a satiety, I can't say that word, carryover of 24 or even 48 hours. So even stuffing yourself one day on a protein fat isn't so terrible, because invariably there's a diminished intake the following day, I have discovered. What's bad news is being hungry, any kind of hungry, emotional or physical. Every time a person has to contend with hunger, the possibility of long-range success in weight loss becomes very questionable indeed. No patient on this diet can be hungry. When a patient comes back after the first week and reports being hungry, I say, then eat more. Eat enough protein so that you're not hungry. And of course, the following week, he's back reporting that he ate more, wasn't hungry, and yet he has lost weight. And that is true. That's what protein is for. Protein is the food that is supposed to fill you up. Watch out for pre-hunger signals. I hear people say, well, I'm never hungry. I'm just a compulsive eater. Most of these people do most of their eating between meals, especially just after dinner. I contend that this so-called compulsive eating is in reality a response to a pre-hunger signal, an inner prompting that it is not easily recognized as hunger because the stomach is full, even though the blood sugar is plummeting. When these unhungry overeaters go on the carbohydrate-free diet, the nonstop nibbling pattern ceases abruptly. The early hunger signal is apparently wiped out by the diet's appetite-killing, blood sugar stabilizing effect. It's a mystery, patients tell me. I've been a big between-meal eater all my life, and now suddenly I'm not. It's spooky. Did you hypnotize me on my first visit? Are you sure those vitamins you prescribed aren't diet pills? Now, I never really saw myself as an in-between meal snacker, but late at night, I always was hungry, and that's when I'd have my ice cream and all those sugary things, which is a bad idea. Don't calories play any role in a carbohydrate-free diet? Counting calories in this context serves very little purpose. On the contrary, it merely increases the likelihood of breaking the diet, as you'll read in Chapter 8. Of course, there's no question but that a 1,500 calorie, 10 gram carbohydrate diet will take off weight more quickly than a 2,000 calorie, 10 gram carbohydrate diet. If the carbohydrate levels remain changed, then the extra calorie intake does make a difference, but it is not of great magnitude. People who eat double portions out of habit sometimes continue on a very high calorie intake. Overeaters unfamiliar with the new level of satiety, whatever, to be achieved on this diet sometimes think they still have to eat double portions. If they'd try eating less, they'd find they were just as comfortable. If you're in a hurry to lose, you are better off to restrict quantities, but not when it's getting to the point where you have to put up with feeling deprived. Then it just doesn't pay. I have found that when I eat a cheeseburger, doesn't matter if it's at home or fast food or anything, when I have it with no bun, I get an extra patty of meat to compensate. So if I go to Burger King or Wendy's or wherever it may be, I'll get a double cheeseburger, no bun. And so I guess missing bun makes me want more meat. I don't know, but tastes good. And you'd be amazed how much better a cheeseburger tastes without the bun on it. I mean, I could still put the mayonnaise and ketchup and whatever on it. And you can actually taste the meat now more than you do with the bun. Anyway, let's see. He lost 23 pounds in 28 days on a 2,500 calories a day. However, there are studies showing that even if you eat 2,500 or 3,000 calories, you can lose weight on a carbohydrate-free diet, and not just for the short haul. I remember one of my very first patients. He was an accountant. He tabulated everything he ate to the ounce, made the proper conversion into calories, and submitted to me the documented record. In a month, 28 days, of eating 2,500 calories a day, he showed a 23-pound weight loss. Now that is more than a short-term loss, and this was not just a loss of fluid. The man had gone down 2 suit sizes in those 28 days, and this is not an isolated case. I have treated thousands like him. Take Max S., for example. He lost 50 pounds on 5,000 calories a day. Being a 300-pounder whose catering job gives him free and easy access to food, Max took me quite literally when I said, "Eat all you want." When my curiosity made me ask him to weigh the quantities of meat he was consuming, it came to 4 pounds of meat per day, at least 5,000 calories. On these quantities, Max still lost 50 pounds. That is just crazy. He lost 100 pounds while eating enough for 4 people. Every day I talk to many other patients who lose while eating really fantastic amounts of food. Mark Ellis is one of these. A tall, 5'11" young tax consultant. He was 26 when he came to me in November a year ago, and he weighed 302 pounds. At 17, he weighed 190. He had been to 6 doctors during his teens. His weight would go up and down, up and down. About 4 years before he had spent almost 9 months at Duke University on its rights diet, a test of fortitude and real immolation for any young man, especially one who likes to eat as Mark does. It took him 9 painful months to lose 49 pounds there, and he gained it back, of course. Then he tried his sixth diet doctor, the one who gives the most pills of all. He lost, then gained. In the 6 weeks before he came to see me, he had regained 30 pounds. How long can you expect to live? I asked him. Why eat enough for 4 people? Because if I ate enough for 3 people, I'd still be hungry, he said. And I couldn't take being hungry anymore. Mark hasn't finished losing yet, and in the year that he has been with me, he has lost just 100 pounds. That isn't so remarkable. What is remarkable is the record I asked him to keep of what he was eating while he was losing that 100 pounds. Mark ordinarily eats only 2 meals a day. He has breakfast around 11 o'clock. On weekdays, it's usually a 3 or 4 egg cheese omelet plus a cup of cottage cheese with sour cream. Dinner on weekdays is around 4 or 5 o'clock. Here are a few dinners at random from his daily record. The 22nd of June, 6 lamb chops, salad. The 23rd of June, 7 frankfurters and sauerkraut. The 24th of June, 2.5 pounds of lobster and string beans. 24th of July, 2 dozen spare ribs, steak, cheese, a big salad. The 25th of July, 3 eggs with cottage cheese, 1 dozen spare ribs, 1 pound of chicken. 26th of July, 1.5 pounds of chuck steak with fried onions. I couldn't eat that much. Wow. On weekends, both meals are later and considerably bigger. Mark Ellis isn't a fantasy. He is a fact, a living proof that it isn't the number of calories, but the kind of calories that count. He is able to stay with this diet because he is never hungry. He can indulge his outsized appetite and lose weight steadily because he keeps below his critical carbohydrate level. And that means he is not depositing fat. He is using up his own fat at the rate of a couple of pounds a week, even on these gargantuan meals. What makes this diet work for him is not only its nature, but its flexibility. But these are extreme cases. A more typical case history might be that of Milton Bratton. How could you eat 6 lamb chops in one meal? Wow. That's just crazy. I gotta get a drink real quick. All right. He loses and his cholesterol drops on eggs and huge steaks. Milton Bratton, 5 feet 10.5 inches and 36 years old, is one of those born hungry people who continues to eat a lot even under the appetite-quelling regime of an almost carbohydrate-free diet. Though neither his father nor mother are overweight, he has always been heavy. His diet breakfast every morning, a 2-egg cheese omelet and coffee with heavy cream. He has his big meal at noon, a really huge steak, often a full pound, with lettuce and blue cheese dressing. For dinner, he has more beef, usually 3/4 pound of steak, more salad or a green vegetable, desserta sometimes, not sure what that is, and coffee. Milton lost 20 pounds in 2 months eating this much. Lost slowly, steadily, and needless to say, without hunger. What is just as important for his future prospects in these 2 months of eating all these eggs and all this beef is that his triglyceride level went down from 180 to 90. It's cut in half. And his cholesterol level from 317 to 213. That's nuts. Milton Bratton eats a lot. Susan Helbrun eats very little, but neither are hungry on this diet. Young Susan Helbrun has always been fat. As my patient, she has lost 94 pounds in 7 months, and this is the first time she has ever lost more than 35 pounds. Nevertheless, I would prefer to see her eat more, but she's a one meal a day girl. No breakfast, a can of Diet Cola for lunch, then fish or meat with salad, all she wants for dinner. But she is so happy and says, I know I can eat if I want to, so I never feel deprived, but I just don't feel hungry. In 7 months of this diet pattern has stabilized. In 7 months, this eating pattern has stabilized. Her health is good. The diabetes she demonstrated when she first came to me is now no longer detectable. Her energy is high. So I accept the fact that this is how she is, and no two people are alike. She says, it makes eating the old way seem insane. I feel positively guilty losing because I'm so happy with what I eat. And it's as if I've been in a wheelchair all my life, and suddenly I find I can run and walk. I love living so much now that it's just incredible. And food is not on my mind anymore. And it used to be all I ever thought of. I can understand that feeling. Well, anyhow, I can't doubt but that Susan on her one meal a day is as unhungry as Milton on his 3 big squares. The conclusion, you can eat a lot or a little and still lose without a moment's hunger as long as you cut down carbohydrates low enough. And that's it for that chapter. Next week will be, if you're always fighting fat, chances are you're allergic to carbohydrates. So that's all I have for today. If you have any questions or comments about the reading today, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. And that's, I guess, have a good week. Join the journey.